Good evening, and welcome to the Caring View, the online health and social care platform, free to access to absolutely everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first show of 2025. I'm going to say our first show of Series 5. Crazy mark that we've been doing it for this long. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, give us a follow on whatever platform you are watching us on. We should be on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, potentially, YouTube. There's probably some more out there, and you can watch us on there. Give us a follow. www.thecaringview.co.uk for all of our free resources, podcast episodes, chat show episodes, sponsors, our suppliers, our blog. Absolutely everything is on there. I think that's it, apart from roll call, isn't it, Mark? So we are absolutely free. Doesn't mean what we give you is crap. It means what we give you is awesome, and we're just not going to charge you for it because we don't think you should be charged for it. So do go check us out. Everything we do is for free, and we can only do that because of our fabulous sponsors. So without further ado, quick roll call of them. We have Prosper Well by Toby, Smooth Toby, Tea with Toby. You'll know Toby. If you know social care, you know Toby. You can hear Toby and people just melt. He's fantastic. So please go check out Prosperwell, www.prosperwell.co.uk. We have, gross, Care Business Associates Training. No, I'm joking. They are fantastic. Their founder, director, Paul, often seen on Instagram in his tighty whities. I do recommend that you go check them out. No, CBAT, not the tighty whities. I think that is important to know. For all of your health and social care training needs, chaps, they started the chaps. So if you're looking at chaps, go check them out. And if you're looking for trainers as well, please do go check out CBAT. Absolutely fabulous trainer courses. We have Attis Care by Attis Insurance Brokers for all of your comprehensive care coverage and proactive risk management. They're also a helpful voice on the other end of the line. James Bergen, who we work with from Attis Insurance Brokers, is also supported on the sustainability guide that Mark has put together as part of the Caring View. So please do go check them out. We have Log My Care, everyone's favorite digital social care solution. And if you're unsure about what to do with your digital social care solution, go check them out and try out their freemium version. We have Health Automated and in Learning Mint. Health Automated created our fabulous website for us. They are absolute gems, and they have their own e-learning options available through their website. And yes, Jack AI, which is what powers our website. Mark knows more about this. We talk about AI quite a lot on this show, but Jack AI is something that we use, do we, Mark? It builds our website. It's done our website. Go check out our website and go see what you think, because if you think it's amazing, go in there, look up Jack AI. Mark, I need to have like a placard that I can just hold up at the beginning of the show, because it's getting a lot, and I think I must watch back some of these shows where I'm not here, because I don't know whether you'll do the full intro, because it's a lot. It is a lot. We need to do a pre-record of it. How are you? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. I do it when you're not here, just not as well. I just ramble through them very quickly. And how was your Christmas?
Oh, my Christmas was fantastic. I got Botox, which is amazing, and I got pink Crocs, which are fabulous. So yeah, I feel like a right diva. I feel like, I don't know. I'm like, how is she though? Now I'm like, I'm stunned. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling my oats. No, I did. I absolutely loved it. I was welcome for the break. It was nice to get some time off. Nice to spend some time with family. Yeah, it was lovely. How was yours?
Yeah, mine was good. Thank you very much. Broke the cardinal social care rule and went away in December. But yeah, I went to Lapland, which was something on my bucket list that I always said I'd do when I had kids, and thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was a really good holiday. So yeah, and then just a quiet Christmas, a very poorly Boxing Day through to New Year's, and then a good New Year's. So I can't really complain.
Well, I'm jealous of Lapland. I hope he sat on Santa's lap, because that guy is a hottie. He's like a hottie. So I'm very jealous if you did. Before we get into the night show, our last show of 2024 was all about how we can kick the sauce to be more proactive. So how going alcohol-free can change our lives. I am, and we just discussed this before the show now, a year, 5 months, and 11 days sober. And people who go sober will always remember the day they go sober. And it's not that I've got some sort of Rain Man memory. It's ingrained in me. But let us know in the comments, are you doing dry January? Are you the people that are stopping me from getting my San Miguel Zeros at the shops because everything is selling out with it being January? Do let us know, how are you finding dry January? Have you just reduced your intake over January? Are you feeling the benefits? Just interested to know. I'm a nosy git. But we are joined tonight by Paul Blane. Paul Blane of CBAT Care Business Associates Training. They are one of the very, very kind companies out there who are supporting the Caring View on our endeavour. So, Paul, Happy New Year. Welcome back to the show. And again, a huge thank you for all of your support.
Yeah, Happy New Year to both of you as well. Mark, I loved looking at your pictures of Lapland and snow angels and all sorts. So I will pick your brain on that because it was always on my bucket list to do as well. And Adam, every single time I see you, sir, look at this. What is happening in front of my eyes?
I know. I'm kind of annoyed that I do a podcast because I kind of wanted to do that sort of, walking into the next care show with like not anyone knowing who I look like again and be like, who's he? But yeah, no, totally different. But you were part of my inspiration, Paul. The changes that you've, and this is why it's glad, I suppose, that you've come back on for tonight's show about coaching and mentoring, because I do think part of that is your mindset. And I know you've been on before about having that mindset, but seeing you at your, what should I say, your matured age.
Yes,
matured age. Yes, your matured age, making those conscious decisions and going, actually, I want to change. I want to do something different. I want to be better for myself. That was part of my kickstarting of my, God, if Paul can do it, obviously I should be able to do
Absolutely.
it. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to get on stage in my Calvin Kleins.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. Not ever. But it's been an inspiration. I am building a home gym at this moment in time as well. I think I need to do more, and I'm a huge thank you for being so open with your journey on social media. It's allowed me to sort of embrace mine. I think it's commendable. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome, and it's good to hear that, because one of the reasons why I was posting, yes, there may have been a little bit of vanity because you're proud of yourself, and you should be proud of yourself and what you've achieved as well. But actually, the amount of messages that I got from people of my age who were actually following the journey and decided to sign up to a gym or to put a pair of trainers on and go for a run or take on those challenges that they didn't think were achievable, and they were posting things to me on top of a mountain. And when you actually look at all that, it does show you the power of influence that social media can have in a positive way, because if it changes lives for the better, then yeah, if I've got to be in my underwear posting that picture, trying to breathe in, then let's do it.
For those of you who don't know, Paul's 33, by the way, just so if everyone's interested.
Yeah, if you say I'm 33, no one's doing any of my challenges anymore.
Oh dear. Right. So Paul, you're joining us tonight, coaching and mentoring. How do we get the best out of it? I want to start off with a very simple question. Is there a difference between coaching and mentoring, or are
100%? And I think with that, it's got to get a clearer understanding around what they both are. And I think I can kind of take you on a couple of little journeys there to try and emphasize what the difference is. A mentor is someone who you will look up to, normally an expert in the field, or certainly someone that knows a lot more knowledge about what it is you're trying to achieve than what you do. So, in the early stages, we kind of use parents as mentors, and then it flips to teachers, and then influencers to a degree, famous footballers. They're our mentors. We kind of try and map their values and what they do, and as a result of that, try to become a version of them. So in terms of my own journey, I started off my career, if you like, as a jockey. So my big influences at that point, my mentors, were jockeys, Willie Cars and Pat. People won't know who these names are, some may, but it was people that I looked up to, and I wanted to style myself on how they rode, and any opportunity I got to speak to them, I did to sort of like try and get an understanding what their thinking and their mentality was when they went into a race, or how they positioned themselves, how they kept their diet the way they did. And that's mentoring. When it went into business, I've always said I had 3 big mentors in my life. And those 3 mentors all had positives and weaknesses. And I took a characteristic from each of them to try and create a version of me, because that's what we're doing with mentoring. We're trying to create a version of yourself. So even to this day, there is lots of people I will mentor. It doesn't have to be a physical presence of a person, but it could be that you're listening to a podcast and you're a regular listener of that, or you like someone's books, or you want to see them being interviewed, and you're going to again attract yourself to the values of that person because they're doing something for you where you want to be. So that's mentorship. So mentorship to me is not something you should pay for. Because realistically speaking, you can network and attract to the person that actually you think will help you in that field. But certainly what they are is they're the library of knowledge of where it is that you're trying to get to. So you should have lots of mentors in life, be it in faith, be it in sport, be it in the world of business or education, and just sort of like pick your circle wisely and find those people that you want to be. So that's mentorship. And we tend to, in the care industry, when someone starts new, look at how we do bodying and mentoring. That's it. You're giving someone a person to actually body with and be mentored by that knows more about that industry. The difference between that and coaching, if you like, coaching is someone who's very well versed on how to get the best attributes from you. So they're not there to actually install themselves onto you. They're on to make you a better version of you with the ingredients that you've got. And that's why you will find, you know, if we take the scenario of, you know, let's say a coach of a football team, it doesn't mean he's a better player than the players that the club has signed. He's there to coach them, to teach them techniques and skills, to look at them from a helicopter perspective, to get an understanding around them, to look at the strategies that they deploy, maybe look at the emotions that they have, and by viewing that, able to put some techniques in place that will allow that person to develop even better by themselves. So I've always sort of like, my own mindset is I'm not there as a coach to impart me and what I believe is right. I'm on about to try and unlock the potential that they have, but they will do it themselves. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, I love it. So a mentor is someone who you look up to and you take on part of who they are and you add that into your repertoire, which makes you who you're going to be in the future. And a coach is someone that can get the best out of you. They're that sort of person that doesn't want to instill on you. They just want to bring you out. So I love that. I think that's really, really great. I think it's a really sort of clear, concise. I think for anyone who's listening to this, who might be a manager thinking, well, I'm a mentor or I'm a coach, I guarantee many people are sat there thinking, which am I? Do I want them to take on board who I am, or do I want to work to get the best out of them? And I think that's a really sort of interesting spin on it. I like it, Paul. Thank you.
Well, listen, just on the basis of that, I would always I started after I finished being a jockey, became a care worker. I mean, the comparison to that is unbelievable. But even in my career as a care worker, or going into registered manager, or even owning care homes and then going on into education, there is better people out there that are better care assistants than me. So who am I to turn around and say, be like me? No, if you're actually better than me, if you've got more compassion, more patience, more empathy, your skill set is higher. If I was coaching that person, what I'm trying to do is get them to become the best version of themselves, because I can see how great they are. Whereas if I was mentoring them, which sometimes we do as managers, you're trying to create mini me's. Well, in that scenario, I don't want to create mini me's. I want to develop them so they become their own individual person.
I think you break it down really easily for people to understand. I was making notes, and I think as a manager, as a person in general, you always want to improve yourself anyway, whether that's personally or professionally. So actually, you always need a mentor in terms of whether that's somebody that you know, or an influencer, or whoever that is, somebody on social media that you can aspire to to be like and to improve to. So I want to discuss tonight about being a mentor or a coach, but also how you find a mentor and a coach. And I'm going to go down the how to find one first, just because I've had messages in the past where people have asked me, I'll be completely honest, I don't understand what's in it, and we can touch on that later. And I normally signpost them to somebody else. But equally, there seems to be a hell of a lot of people that now say that they do mentoring and coaching. And actually, I don't know whether or not to refer them to those people or not, because I don't know what I should be looking for myself. So what should people be looking for if they're looking for a mentor or a coach?
So I'm just going to sort of like draw that back a little bit, because the very first thing you've got to establish is what is it that you actually want coaching or mentoring in. And there's too many people out there that seem to, they kind of like an umbrella of all these different things. So if it was mentoring, for example, if someone wanted to be mentored by me, then what is the specific thing that they're looking to get out of me? What do they want to model from me, if you like? And that's the bit where I've got to work out is, do I value what I've got enough to impart that onto someone else? Now, if it was, say, for instance, how to become a billionaire, there's absolutely no point mentoring me because I'm not a billionaire. I don't know how to do it. And if I did, I wouldn't be mentoring anybody. I'd be a billionaire and living on a yacht. So on that basis, it's like you've got to look at it and go, I'm not going to mentor someone unless I believe there is something I can give them in a particular area that's going to help them. And that's where I always turn around to people and say, what's your specific goal? Not what's your goal, what's your specific goal? What do you want out of this? And then I will make the decision whether actually I think I'm the right person for that. And that to me is the mentoring. So if somebody wanted to know from me how to do a routine exercise in the gym on back or shoulders or legs, not a problem, because I've got to the highest level, if you like, within that field, and I know how that equipment works, and I can take somebody from not knowing anything to actually getting there to understand how to use the equipment safely. And that's a side project of mine. In the world of business, it would be if someone's looking to start a business up or going self-employed for the first time. Well, I've done that. I've been there and gone from me being employing myself to me employing sort of like 500-600 people. So I kind of know that growth and that what we need to do in order to get there. And also as a mentor, able to turn around and say, don't do that. This is what happens when you do that. So you're sort of like imparting to them all the failures that you made over that time as well, and the hope that they can side pass them and get to that journey quicker. So when you're picking a mentor, understand first and foremost what it is that you want. And you've got to break that right down into a specific language. Is it my attitude? Is it that I seem to be impatient? Is it that I get angry? And look, or is it that I actually want to have my own business that employs 10 people or 50 people or 100 people? Whatever it may be very specific about what it is that you want, so that when you go to a mentor, you can say, this is exactly what I want to learn from you. Because otherwise it becomes an ego thing for the mentor and they just impart everything they have. Well, you may not like the way that I do certain things and it may put you off. So what is it that you want, and match it up? Matching is very important. And then building rapport with that person so you can actually get them to be honest and trustworthy with yourself. So if I was seeking a mentor, that's the first thing I'm doing. And there's not much difference to that with coaching when it comes to actually being specific, but it's actually who you're choosing at that point, and how you're going to get them. In terms of, I mentioned before about you don't have to pay for that service, just learn how to network. So it may be that you want to actually improve your skills in networking. Well, if you go to UK Care Week or the Care Show, it's free to walk into that. You're going to bump into lots of people. If they've watched this program, they've already seen me, you, and Adam on this. So, and they know fine well that we would stop and say hello to them. So all of a sudden, you've got a connection at that point. And it may be something that I've said, or they've listened to both of you or any other guest, that they can now turn around and say, I actually want to know a lot more about that. And I was really interested in what you're saying. I wonder if you can mentor me. And that's where I see mentorship. In terms of picking a coach, again, what's your objective? What's your goal? So I coach many people. I coach people from, that are worth millions sitting at the top of the tree. And ultimately, they've done so much better than I have in the business world, sometimes in a very aggressive way. It may be that it's slightly unethical some points, and then they get a moment of wanting to give back, or they get a moment of where they want to move to a different country with what they've got. So what they should be looking at in perspective of that when it comes to coaching is, again, what is it that I specifically want to do? And is this person, do they have the toolkit in order to get us there? Now, in terms of from a coaching perspective at that point, what you're looking in a coach for is different to the mentor. So now you're looking for someone who's actually understands what coaching practices and principles are, because a coach is someone who's going to help you understand yourself and then hold you to account on that. So if you've set that goal and you've told the coach what the goal is and you're trying to achieve that goal, then they are going to set out and map the plan on how to get there. And if they are starting to see that something's not working with you or you're diverting, they will quickly come in and change that plan. I think it's very important to understand this, that every world champion there's ever been has a coach, right? Now, the coach isn't the world champion, but every world champion has had a coach. Every top CEO has been coached at some point and may still be getting coached right now. Every president, every prime minister, everything you can think of where a person has got to the highest level has had a coach, whether it be to teach them how to present, teach them stop and get nervous when they stand up on stage, teach them how to communicate better with their teams, teach them how to sell. There's lots of areas in which you can be coached. And sometimes it can be in health and fitness, because if you improve your health and fitness, it will improve your focus in other areas. But a coach that you're choosing should have a skill set, a toolbox, if you like, of lots of different things. And they should understand what it is that you're trying to get to, how you're going to get to it, set out that plan with you, and then hold you to account on that journey. Even when you want to rant, they'll draw you back in and remind you where you need to get to. So in terms of picking a coach, again, work out what it is that you want and then go to the coach that delivers that style. I am not going to employ a coach to teach me or to coach me in the business world who's been a swimming coach all their life. So go for the specific one.
No, and I guess a big part of that, and thank you for that, is actually before you even go searching, you need to have an honest reflection on actually what it is that you're lacking, what skill or what do you need to achieve from it. But also, I suppose, is that ability to accept honest feedback from somebody, because no doubt you're going to hear something that is going to push you further, or is going to be something that you don't necessarily agree with, but it's going to help you adapt and learn to become a better person.
Absolutely. Just on that point there, you're right. They're a critical friend. A coach will be a friend to you and a support to you, but ultimately, they're not going to coach you forever, or they shouldn't be looking to coach you forever. So there has to be an end goal, and their job is to actually get you on that journey to get to that end goal. If they're there forever, they're a blooming therapist now. So ultimately, what we're actually looking at is, how long do I need you for? And how do we get there, and how do you hold them account, and am I open to listening? I always say with my clients, there is a clear coaching agreement. This is what my expectations are going to be of you, and this is what your expectations should be of me. And we sign that agreement once we've created that plan in order how to get there. And we do things such as pre-framing, where we're actually going to explain exactly what it is that we're going to do over that whole course. And how to get there. If someone breaks that agreement, stop coaching. I'm not going to coach someone who doesn't want to be coached. It's impossible. You can't do it. So they have to want to be in that journey, which means what you said there about that true self-reflective practice, it has to happen first and foremost in order for you to then become acceptable that you want to make that change in your life.
I'm just sitting here going, this is Simon Cowell, isn't it? Because he doesn't sing. Simon Cowell's not a singer, but he's the mastermind who's a multi-billionaire who can get these people to where he needs to be. It makes a lot of sense, because you sit there and you think sometimes, but you're not, you can't go and do that. You can't. I think this one, when you look at the boxers in the ring and you see their coaches, because they are like big, flabby, sort of non-athletic people, and they're the ones coaching the boxers. And I sit there and think, why aren't you in the ring doing it? I don't get it. And So, but you're making perfect sense to me here. And Mark, I love that self-reflective thing that you brought up, and it is around that harsh look at ourselves. But this is where it brings us back to a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago around, oh god, it was a couple of months ago now, won't it? Fixed mindsets and growth mindsets. You know, and if you've got a fixed mindset, then no matter how much coaching you're going to have,
they're not going to work.
It's never going to work. So it's around, I suppose, I'm going to answer my own question before I ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I suppose it's around, as an organization, being conscious about the people we employ by making sure that we employ people with growth mindsets rather than fixed mindsets. But Paul, as an organization, how can we make coaching and mentoring something that is ingrained in what we do and successful for our teams, ourselves as managers, but also the business?
Okay, so coaching fits hand in hand with high performance. Okay, not everybody can be coached, and not everybody wants to be coached. But if you're someone that's quite ambitious, or someone that sees yourself at a higher level and wants to get the best out of your performance, then you'll be very open. You will want to be coached. You know, so for example, if I seen someone as I was coming up, I sort of like, just with the mentoring side of it, I identified very quick with the characteristics that I wanted to be mentored in, and I made sure that I got a seat at that table in the ear anytime that I could to do it. So if I worked for an organization myself and someone came to me and said, I actually want to look at you and give you some performance coaching, or I want to I think that you've got all these great attributes, but if we improve your communication skills by giving you coaching sessions in this, then you are going to climb very, very quickly. Now, the fixed mindset person, what they would have just interpreted you saying there is you're not good enough, you're terrible at communication, and you know, at the end of the day, we're going to have to put something in place to help you with that, or there's going to be a problem. But a growth mindset person is going, you're going to invest in me in this area. And that's the bit in the organizations where when they do bring coaching into play, it works tremendously well. And just to give you an example of that, there was a company that I've been working with, and I've been doing group coaching with them. And it's been over, I think we've done it over an 8-week period. So there was some learning in that, because a coach will give learning in certain areas. And then there was a lot of one-to-one sessions. And it was a group, I had a group of about 24 managers. So it was a large group to do it. But the one-to-ones were the key ingredient to all of this. Now, that area, so it was a region of quite a large company. That area actually went out and won every blooming award there was. They improved in every single area, and all the issues that they had, they resolved. So much so that the CEO of the company, who knew nothing about this going on, basically put out a message saying, what the heck is happening in that area of the company right now? Because it's unbelievable what I'm seeing coming from it. Now, it was the managers that got together and actually went to the regional and said, do you know what? We believe we're all good managers, but we need coaching to a degree, not a training course. And that goes against CBAT, if you like, but not a training course, because we've done them many times. We actually need someone who is going to help us get the best out of ourselves. And with that, all of a sudden, you've seen huge improvements in them very, very quickly, because someone was not just listening to them, but actually putting a counter argument in. But you're not actually doing the counter argument. What you're making people is think about what you've just said, flip it, and be the other person. And that's some of the techniques that you would employ. It's not about how do I turn you all into Paul Blanes. If I want that, I'll stick them in a classroom, right? Or I'll employ them myself. That's a joke, by the way. Don't become a Paul Blaine. But ultimately, what you are trying to do is say, do you know what? You got yourself to this level, right? But how did you get there, first of all? And sometimes it can be that the ambition they had to get there dies very quickly, because now I've got there. You know, it's a bit like climbing that mountain. Once you get to the top and you're taking the view, you know, a part of your body dies, because you're like, I'm done. Now the growth mindset person's looking for another mountain and going, I'll have a crack at that one next. So what we got out of that company was phenomenal results in a group. And that company, because of that investment they put into their team, actually, that's what the team's seen. We're being invested in. It wasn't mandatory. It wasn't compulsory. they got offered to come, but every single one of them came and no one missed a single session. So as an organization myself, we put it in place to our teams and ultimately change their mindset around this is not disciplinary, this is not HR. This is literally us saying we see something in you, and if we put the right person in there to coach you, you're the future of the company.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes me it's so spot on with a lot of that, and I suppose linking this all together at this moment at the halfway point, we've got Mark talking about the self-reflection pieces and being able to do that, bringing up around fixed and growth mindset. You talking about how investing in people is the most important thing and making sure that we can flip the story. And actually, you put them all together, and yeah, I suppose we start to see that actually there's also a culture change that needs to happen here as well, because people will have been in different organizations, gone through their cultures, adopted some bad culture, which they bring alongside them. And I think more around noticing that a team member is doing something that they should be doing potentially a better way. And a lot of people's first reaction is, oh, God, useless. I'm going to have to get rid of them. Just going to have to get rid of them.
Yeah.
They just can't do what they're doing. Whereas actually, self-reflect, get them to self-reflect. I've seen you just been doing this. Could you have done it better? Did you get the outcome that you wanted to get out of that? What could we have done differently? I mean, I will always remember, I've had many occasions like this, but I worked with a manager once and someone had asked the question like 4 times prior to me coming to the home that day. And they'd come in and ask the same question. She was like, I've told you, go and do this. Off they went. And I said, right, can we just take a second and let's sort of flip this around again? I will be you be that person, and you ask me that same question. So she did. And I said, what should I do with this? And I was like, I don't know. What do you think? Oh, I was like, bring the problem solving back to people, taking that away from them and always going for the, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Do what I say, do what I do, listen to me isn't always the best way. And actually we need to empower and invest in people and make sure that we're giving them the opportunities to grow and we're giving them the opportunities to learn, because if we don't, they never will, because they'll just feel like, oh, well, I'm not valued, I'm not respected, I can't do what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just going to do what I do, and that's that. I'm never going to really care moving forward.
And that's it, Adam. No one, I don't believe, and it may be narrow-minded, I don't believe anybody wakes up to do a bad job. Okay? That I think what can happen is...
I mean, Starmer's doing a pretty good job of doing a bad job, isn't he? So,
Even at that, and I've got my own opinion, so do not take me down this path, because everything I've said just goes out the window. I'll stop, right? Change state. Okay, so ultimately what I'm saying is that no one took the job on to be bad at the job. So something, if you're getting a reoccurring pattern that's happened, a change in attitude, a change in commitment levels, something's gone wrong. A part of the chain has broken. Now, you have a duty, I believe, as a leader or an organization, to try and find out what that chain is and fix it, help them fix it. Now, ultimately, sometimes it can't be fixed. And decisions have got to be made, but you shouldn't be jumping straight to that conclusion immediately. I often turn around and say this, even using something as simple as Maslow's hierarchy of needs can identify the pattern. So have a look at that in the first place and see where the problem is occurring. Sit someone down. When I mentioned the word pre-framing before, pre-framing is explain to somebody what it is that we're about to do and get their agreement. And from that now, let's get on and do it. So there is no one I've sat down with when I've showed them Maslow's hierarchy of needs that I haven't got them to open up. No one. Because first of all, they're looking at you and going, finally, someone's listening to me. Or someone wants to know more about me instead of just chastising me all the time and making my confidence go lower and lower and lower. And it goes lower and lower and lower to a level where they don't give a crap anymore about you or the job or anything they do. And that's when you've got the broken person.
Oh, 100%, 100%. We're at the halfway point, and I'm just thinking, I asked the question at the beginning of the show. I wanted to know if anyone's going sober throughout January. We have, and unfortunately, this is a byproduct of us using our new streaming software. It doesn't tell us who you are when you comment on LinkedIn. So if you've seen me like this while we've been doing, I've been trying to go into LinkedIn to see who's saying what. But we have had someone come back to us saying, sober since 27th December, not dry January, just making changes. Well, congratulations. I know who this is. I'm going to say it because you've done it on LinkedIn. It's James Parker. So, James, huge congratulations for that decision in what you're doing. I think it's a great one. I'd love to know how you're feeling since you've given up the juice. It's interesting. Everyone has different experiences, and I think it's good to know. But if anyone else is doing dry January, do let us know. James, you've also, I'm presuming it's James, you've also been in the comments with some of your mentorship that you've been doing recently. So you've been doing the Skills for Care 2-day course on coaching and mentoring. Please do go check them out. And what have we got here? When I'm supporting staff in this way, I take them on a 3-step journey. Step 1, I don't know what to do. Tell me. Step 2, I think this is what to do. Reassure me. Step 3, this happened. This is what I did. Correct me for next time. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Before we move forwards, if you do want to know more from Paul Blane, any of our sponsors or any of our, well, I'm going to say any of our, some of our regular guests who will be joining us, we do have a theatre at UK Care Week in March. 19th and 20th, is it? 19th and 20th of March, Wednesday, it's Birmingham. It's going to be fabulous. We've got 2 full days of learning. Paul Blane will be taken to the stage for us. You will be getting free resources from us. You will be getting really tangible things which you can take away and go and implement straight away. None of this BS, listen to us, look how amazing we are. It is how can we help? How can we support? What can you do now to benefit yourself and your organizations and your service users, your residential clients, your customers, your patients, however you term them, the people you support. Do come check us out. There is a registration link in the chat, in the comments. So go find that, go register, and we will see you there. It's completely free if you are in health and social care. Mark, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I was listening to you talking, Paul, and I wrote down goal setting, and I think we touched on it.
Have you climbed into a bottle, Mark?
No, why?
It sounds like you're in like some sort of metal vat or something.
I have no idea. Does it sound better now?
No.
Oh, it's the same.
Hold on. What about now?
We could be here for the second half of the show. What about now? What about now?
We're going to leave you with it, Mark. It'll be fine. People.
I'm interested.
I'll have a look.
While Mark's having a look at why he now sounds like a Dalek, Paul, for coaches and mentors, I know we've spoken around the difference between what a coach and a mentor is. I know we've spoken around how to get the best out of them. What are some of the qualities that make effective coaches? So I know that I've got this that I want to bring out of people, or as a mentor, I know that I've got these skills that I really want to give people, but no one's listening to me. No one's taking me on board. I'm not succeeding. What are some of the qualities that I would need to succeed as a mentor and a coach?
Okay, so if I take the mentor side first, the mentor side is actually understanding the level that the person is at and being able to go to that level. So it's something we use a lot in teaching, and we class it as differentiation. So, for instance, one of the biggest mistakes I see sometimes is teachers will go into classrooms and it becomes a bit of a vanity show. I know all this knowledge and I'm going to tell you all this knowledge and look how great I am in telling you this knowledge. And the learners become the audience watching the show. Actually, what you've got to look at and say is, I've got all this knowledge and today my job is to give you that knowledge, but I need to give it you at a level that you will understand. Because if I've been in this industry for 20 years, I've got 20 years of experience. And the 20 years of experience, I always say 20 years and I remember my age, and it now is actually 30 years. So for 10 years, I've been saying 20 years and it's 30 years of experience. That sounds bad. So 30 years of experience, not 20. Let's scrub that. Then if I look at that, what's my knowledge level like now within this industry compared to when I started? Even when I took on my first registered manager's role at the age of 19, what's the levels like? Well, if I look at that, 30 years of experience, 30 years of getting it wrong, 30 years of learning and understanding individuals, 30 years of understanding what motivates people and what doesn't motivate people. I cannot take someone who is the newly fresh 19-year-old registered manager, let's say that had been me, and expect that they are going to learn everything that I've achieved or done, all those successes, all those failures, by mentoring them for 6 weeks. It can't possibly happen. So the first thing I've got to look at with them is, if I had 6 weeks with them, where could we get them to at that period of time? Because if I go too deep or too high, I will lose them. So a good mentor is about understanding who you're mentoring and setting out a plan as to what level of knowledge am I going to give them to get them to the next stage. Not all the way. You can't create the finished article from that. And then move it on from there if they want to continue to be mentored. But you've got to give them breathing space as well. You've got to let them try things. In terms of what makes a good coach, again, it comes down to coaching someone. A great coach is someone who's a great listener. So a great mentor is someone who's a great speaker. A great coach is someone who's a great listener, because their job is to listen to what's being said, listen to where it's not working. Look at things like strategies that a person's deploying and work out how that fits with their own internal values and their internal representation, if you like. So a good understanding of this is, let's say that I'm someone that values freedom and values money. Well, the problem is you've got two conflicting values there. So which one is it that you want? And a good coach will pick that up and said, unless you're going for financial freedom, which is a long way off from where you may be now, then you're going to have conflicting days. You're going to have days where one value is being very strong and you don't want to be committed to it. You want to take that holiday, but actually your other value is money, and that's screaming at you, we've got to work 7 days a week. We've got to work 15-hour days. We've got to hustle. And what actually happens in that case is you move away from your goal. You don't reach it. So listening skills as a coach, understanding and also explaining how things may change the ecology. If you've got someone that wants to become, I'm not going to get into this woke mentality. I'm sorry if I offend someone here. I often do, but I'm not going to get into this mentality that you can get to the top by working a 3-day week or a 5-hour day, or you can have every weekend off. If you're wanting to get to the top, you have to work bloody hard, right? You have to work harder than everybody else around you, and that starts from day one. That's how you get recognized. That's how you build the experience. So on the basis of that, if you've got someone that wants to make money or wants to get to a high level position or be a high performer, they're going to have to make some sacrifices in order to do that. And those sacrifices may actually influence, when I talk about the ecology, of the people around them or their own life. Because if you turn somebody into being relentless, and the wife at home was used to you actually spending every Sunday at home and spending time with the kids on a Saturday, then that's all about to change. So a good coach is someone who, once they've actually started to listen to someone and what they want, will challenge that to make sure it is exactly what they want, will remind them what they're going to go through and set them that pattern of goal. But first thing for a great coach is the ability to listen, use intuition, be that critical friend, and set out that clear journey of how we get from the goal to what it is we're trying to achieve. So I often describe it another way, and it's part of the grow philosophy when we do goal setting, and that is, here's my goal, here's the reality, how are we building the bridge to get over to there, and that's the key bit. What do we need for the bridge? I'm not sure if Mark's back yet.
Well, let's find out. Any better?
He's back.
I have no idea what it was. Just needed some time. This poor little computer just needed some time. I'm pleased you were talking about goal setting, because that's what the question was that I had, was around goal setting. The only thing is, okay, we make goals all the time. With regards to coaching or mentoring, how frequently should you be reviewing it? As often as if it was a goal that you were setting in any other part of your life, or should you be reviewing it more often? And if it's something that you're new to, so I don't know, let's use the example you said earlier, you want to set up your own home care business, something you've never done before. So you might not know actually what that journey is going to look like in terms of whether you're failing or succeeding. Hopefully your coach or your mentor would be able to advise you that. But how as a person would they recognize that it might be going wrong if they've signed up with the wrong coach that is just fobbing them along for the money, if that makes sense?
In terms of signing up with the wrong coach, it would be that it's just not working for you. It doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad coach. They just don't have rapport with you. So I would want someone that I was coaching. I would work very hard to build a rapport with them so that they understand that we're working in this together to get to that end goal. And both of us need to see that progression. If I'm working with a coach who I don't get that feeling, I don't believe that they have the right values that sit with mine, and that could be that they're not aggressive enough towards this goal, or they're a bit too placid towards this goal, then that coach isn't the right coach for you. And that's the same in all walks of life. Even in teaching, Mark, there are some teachers that I had who were amazing that other people didn't like. And there were some teachers that they liked who I didn't like. So that building that relationship and that rapport is critical. But what I would be looking out for in a coach is it's not their job to make you get to that position. It's their job to actually help you to get to that position. So sometimes you may blame the coach, but if you're not prepared to do the work, how is the coach ever going to get you there? And also with regard to that, it's a case of how is the coach developing themselves as well? So, if I look at myself, I'm very, very near the completion of my master's in NLP. I've become a licensed hypnotherapist, licensed timeline therapist. And I'm actually starting to bring these things into the world of care, particularly with managers who are feeling stress and burnout, because they do work. And one of the biggest things that I look for is what's the actual person's true beliefs, because beliefs are the meaning of what it is that we're going to do. And we can also get rid of beliefs. At the end of the day, a belief is made up. You made it up yourself. So that means if you made it up yourself, you can change it. Now, ultimately, how is that working? Well, you're trying something new. You're trying something different within the industry. If I need someone to actually go to their unconscious levels, because that's where my values are really stored, the conscious mind, when it turns around and says, this is my goal, actually your conscious mind is interfering with it. It's giving you you a reflection on what you think other people might think your goal should be. But when you go deep and go into the unconscious, you find a true goal. And when you find a true goal and you realize the values aligned to that, I promise you that person will get to that goal. But if we play around with up here with the conscious mind, it will keep changing tact all the time. So when you said how often should we be reflecting on a goal, we should get it right in the first place and get to that stage and then move it on from there. We shouldn't just keep going back. Now, great topic here talking about dry January, and there'll be lots of people that set new goals for the new year. And we're on the 14th of January. I guarantee you quite a lot I guarantee you about 80% have slipped away from them already, right? The reality of the situation is the goal that they actually set themselves was probably not a goal that they really wanted. It wasn't specific to them. They'd done it because someone made a comment to them. Someone instilled a belief to them. Someone made a comment over Christmas. Oh, stuff your face over Christmas. You can put the pounds on because you're going on that diet in January, aren't you? How much are you looking to lose? What did you say? So that's not their belief. They may have been perfectly bloody happy stuffing their face and putting on the weight. But because someone's now instilled that, all of a sudden they say, I'm going on a diet on January the 1st, but they don't believe it themselves. They don't really want to do it. So they're never going to achieve it. Smokers are absolute paramount to this. The person that wants to give up cigarettes is found something inside themselves that goes, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, that might be financial. It may be that someone's made, they're unhealthy now when they're walking up the stairs. Something has triggered them. It can be all of a sudden they've had a heart attack, or they've had a diagnosis or something. Something's triggered something internally to say we need to give this. If they just turn around and say, I want to give up cigarettes because someone said I smell to smoke, it's not going to happen, because that's not the reason. So when we look at goals, the biggest mistake, there's two big mistakes that we make when we set goals. One is we have to actually want it and believe it ourselves, and that's got to come from the unconscious, which is why when I talk about some of the therapeutic things I do, it's to actually get it from the unconscious and align those values. And the second one is it has to be about you. So this is the next big mistake I see, where people will put other people in the goals. Businesses do it all the time. Our goal in 2025 is to increase sales by 100%. Well, you've got a problem if that's not the goal of your sales team, because you need them. So how do we know it's their goal? And that's when I see values as well. Care companies create all these values. Well, how do you know they're the values of the people that are working there? Because if they're not the values of the people that are working there, you're never going to achieve those values. So it has to be an effort when we're creating goals. Make it specific about yourself. If you do want a goal for 2025 for your organization, involve your organization and make sure everybody wants that same goal. And it's the same with the values. I've always said to companies, strip back your values, go to the team and ask them what their values are first and talk them through. Because if you can get everybody aligned, they will be achieved. If they're not, they won't.
Totally agree. And can I just say, as an ex-smoker as well as everything else, because Lord knows I've got an addictive personality, God, I miss smoking.
I'm an ex-smoker. I've always said, if somebody said
how much do you miss it?
A lot, but I didn't smoke because I don't believe I smoked because of the nicotine. I'm your old care assistant that got you longer breaks and more breaks, and everybody was having a cigarette out the back. I absolutely loved. There was nothing better than going for your cigarette. And okay, I stopped, but I stopped because I found another addiction in fitness and in health, and that's what transferred that. I just basically transferred one addiction to another. But if somebody said to me the world is ending in 3 days' time, I've always said the first thing I'm going to go and do is buy a pack of fags. That's the first thing immediately.
Smoking for me was just too sexy. I mean, it's just like, I'm like Citizen Kane. I just think there's something about it. We went to Berlin recently, and I couldn't do this with alcohol. I could not do this with alcohol. Went to Berlin recently, and I was like, do you know what? I'm in Europe. While in Europe, I'm going to do like the Europeans do. And I did get myself a packet of cigarettes while I was in Berlin. God, it was beautiful just to be able to, while I was there. And then came back and I didn't. I mean, I gave up smoking because I don't want to die. I'm just like, I don't want to get lung
trigger.
Yeah, don't want to get lung cancer. I'm going to give it up. I'm going to stop drinking. Don't want cirrhosis of the liver. It's death that scares me out of everything. If someone turned around to me tomorrow and said, social care will kill you, I'll be like, right, that's it. I'm giving it up. I'm not going to be doing it.
But this is a thing that other people don't. Fear is a motivator. Fear is one of the biggest motivators you can have. Now, I'm not saying that you should go around and put fear up everybody, but if somebody finds fear in themselves, it will motivate them to take an action on something, positive or negative.
I will say, though, don't live by fear, because my partner tells me that all the time. You live by fear. You've got to live a little. So, Paul, we've had a question come through in the chat. It would be really good and helpful if Paul could share. So I tell you what, let me pull it up on the screen. I've got to do this. It's been a month. It'd be really helpful and good if Paul could share with some practical info on top of his insightful discussions, e.g. how much would one expect to pay, helps put a case forward to management, how often do coaches, mentors usually meet, and how much access does one typically have to their coach and mentor, and how long do these arrangements typically last?
Yeah, so I think the very first thing you want to be looking at from that is to me, a coach should not be lasting any longer than 6 to 8 weeks. Because if you've not got what it is that you need in that period of time, then you've set what your expectations are, what you wanted far too high. And what you've got to do is you're going to try and learn a new skill, develop it, and you may go back to a coach a longer period. Just as a typical example of this, I see this in the gym all the time. Someone gets a PT and a year later, they're still with the PT. Now, the PT stood around on his phone. He's not doing anything because the person knows what to do. But the person won't go to the gym without the PT now because they basically anchored themselves to the PT and don't think that they can do it. When clearly, after about 4 weeks, they could have done all this themselves. Right? So their motivation is anchored to the coach or the PT and not to themselves. And a coach really should be trying to push you away from them when they think that you're ready to go and develop and learn this new skill. In terms of putting a proposal to the company, I think what you've got to do is yourself, as an individual, is identify the area of weakness that you have. And it, you know, I know people don't like using the word weakness, but ultimately there has to be an opposite to the word strength. So look at yourself and go, okay, for me to be a better version of myself in my job or wherever it may be, where is it that I would like to see that improvement? And then again, I'm going to go against the grain of CBAT. By the way, Elaine is going to kick my backside in the morning with this next comment that I'm going to say. So if you are listening, Elaine, apologies. I'm not actually in the office tomorrow, so I'll catch you when I get back. But it isn't a case of just going on a training course. A training course will give you knowledge, and a training course may give you motivation to go away and do something with this new learned skill. And I see that all the time. I teach for a living. I know exactly what I see in those classrooms. If you're someone that's on a development program, a development of self-development, because that's what it is, that's going to improve the organization, and the financial study has to be, if I improve this part of me with this investment, what's the return on investment of that? And when you present a case like that to someone, if one of my team came to me and said, okay, I can bring this coach in, it's going to cost, he's going to do 6 sessions with me, follow a plan, 6 sessions with me. He may be using different techniques on those sessions, but what I'm trying to achieve, what we've looked at, is to get me to this level. Now, if I get to this level, this is what I bring to the company, or this is what I can start to work on with others within the company. And that could be, you know, you can have a manager who's a great, amazing with paperwork, but the worst communicator that you've ever seen in your life, that the turnover of staff is very high, but they won't actually at first reflect on it and say, it's the way I'm communicating. So ultimately, once they find that in themselves and they'll accept that, then they can be coached on how to become a better communicator. And no disrespect, you ain't going to learn that in 3 hours or even in 30 minutes on an e-learning course, because it tells you what effective communication is. You need someone that's actually going to come and observe your practice, be that critical friend, start to develop techniques with you, start to actually maybe put things in place. You know, in my world, it'd be like, how do we change state? Well, we can put chaining anchors in place and things like that. They will show you little techniques on what you can do, and then they'll develop you as it goes on, and then they'll reflect back what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to alter, what do we need to change. But ultimately, in 6 weeks' time, you should be a blooming brilliant communicator. If you're still there in a year's time, then their communication's crap. That's the way you've got to look at it, because it's not working. So always when you're putting a case in terms of cost, always look at it. If I do this, what's in it for them, particularly when you're going to management. And when you go to management and say, I really want to improve my skill in this, it's amazing how many people actually start to listen. In terms of the cost, it doesn't have to be a stupid amount of money, but what it needs to be is enough for you to be committed to that investment. Now, what I mean by that is, if I turned around and said, I can give you hypnotherapy, and I'm going to do 3 free sessions and 1 session at 40 quid, and by the end of it, you'll have given up cigarettes, right? The chances are, after the second session, you'll bug it off, because you've got, it's only 40 quid that I've lost. I can't be bothered going there. My mum's having a go at me all the time, and the kids are a nightmare. I've got to take them, because your investment's not there. Now, if you turn around and you'd paid 400 quid for that, you're like going, you need to sort the kids out. You need to do this. Mom, I've got to go. And because you're going, because you've invested £400 into it. So I'm not necessarily turning around and saying that you should look for the most expensive one, but look for there's such a variation in terms of prices of coaches, but look for one that you can feasibly afford, but make sure it's one that you've invested enough into in order to make sure that you're committed to the process. If I was giving myself, for example, my general charge for coaching is around about £500 for a day, but that day can be split up into hours. And it may be that we go down a route of saying, if you can give me 3 full days with you, then I can put a lot of techniques in place and then bring you back in 3 weeks' time to see where you're at. But what you've got to be looking at is there a benefit in what you're about to outlay? Is it going to improve and change who you are, and what's going to be the return investment for you and the company? I don't know if I answered the full question there, Adam, because it was quite a long question. So if I didn't, I'll get Adam to send it and I'll pop you an email with it.
Thank you very much. And thank you, James, for asking that question, because I think actually that was a really good response and a question to ask. We've hit the hour mark, and I don't know where the hour, I mean, I say it every week, but I don't actually generally know where the hour has gone. It just seems to have flown by. But Adam, any thoughts on the show tonight? Anything you want to summarise? Top tips? You're on mute. Going to start charging £100, I think.
Sorry if you lip read at home. I use some naughty words then. I've loved tonight's show. In fact, I got sort of like how emotional this was. She's like, oh, when times get tough in social care, I smile. And I was like, that is really nice.
Yeah.
And then I think she sent a correction that said, actually, no, I smoke, not smile. And I was like, oh, okay.
I love it, Carol. I love it.
Which I thought was brilliant. No, I've loved tonight's show. I mean, I've taken notes myself. I suppose this is one strength and one sign of mentors and coaches is every day is still a learning day. So even if you are in those positions where you're there supporting people and supporting people to grow and you're leading and you're helping people develop, you're always developing yourself and you're always learning yourself, which is why I love doing the Caring View, because I just take notes and notes and notes and notes and notes and hopefully become a better version of myself. I suppose the one thing that I will always say to people, and I say this all because I don't know whether you get this, Paul. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, this is going to be a stupid question. And it's like, there are no such things as stupid questions. Like, the only stupid thing is not asking a question.
Absolutely. If you ask a question, you don't know the answer, so get the answer.
Exactly. And I will always say this. If you think a question is stupid, Mark and I have probably asked them before. And probably stupid ones. We ask the most basic of basics, because if you don't know, you don't know. You'd be an idiot to go through life thinking, actually, I'm just going to sort of wing it, because you'll come a crapper one day. So ask and ask and ask away. Paul, I've loved tonight. I always love it when you do on the show. You're an absolute darling, and I think you've got all of these sort of 70 years of wisdom that you bring with you that I think is really beneficial. I'm awful. I'm horrid. No, it's been a pleasure, Paul. And I think, where can people find your coaching skills? Where can we find you?
Yeah, so if you go on to, there's quite a long-winded website. So if you go on to www.cba-training.co.uk, it's all there on the website. And also you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find Care Business Associate Training on LinkedIn. You can go onto my Instagram. You may be a bit shocked, but I am on there as Paul Blane, and I'm on Facebook as well. But the website will give you a lot more details, but feel free to reach out to me personally. As I said, LinkedIn is probably my most active in terms of from the professional world. So give me a follow and send me one of those messages. Unless you are someone that is a recruitment agency, stop sending me those messages.
I got one the other day, and it was like, we've got some, and by the way, please don't take this as me belittling positions whatsoever. I am not at all. I love everyone and every role within social care. But I got someone from me saying, we've got some home care positions if you want to become a carer. And I was like, no. I've been there and I've done that, and I enjoyed it and I loved it. But then I also managed a home care service and went on to do different. Why would you phone me and ask me to become a carer? What?
Look, Adam, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send it to you.
I might just start registering Adam for loads of jobs now.
I can't stand recruitment agencies. They just get on you all the time. And it's usually ones from London, and they sound really shocked when you don't want anything. Mark, final thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed today. I think it's been a good first show of 2025, the new year. I love that it was just broken down from you, Paul, really easily. And I think that very first bit that you spoke about between the difference of a mentor and a coach actually was just such an easy takeaway for people to understand the difference. Because I think actually when we set this show up, actually there was a few people that commented about what the difference was. So hopefully people have got a lot from tonight.
I think just on wrapping that up, so at the UK Care Week, which you guys are co-hosting, I am going to do something there on internal representation systems, which is basically looking at all your senses and how we can join them together to communicate, which will be a phenomenal session for you to attend. So if you do come to UK Care Week, make sure you jump on wherever I'm speaking on behalf of these guys.
And we've got 6 senses, haven't we? Sight, smell, touch, hearing, taste, and fashion.
You've also got auditory digital, which is the voice inside your head.
Oh, I've got plenty of that. I can tell you that. Look, Paul, absolutely fabulous. Yes, register for UK Care Week, 19th and 20th of March. This will stick in my head eventually. We have got a theatre there. Please use our link to sign up. Do come and join us. Sit down with us for the full 2 days because you aren't going to be bored. Samia Rai, we've got Florence, we've got all sorts of wonderful talks going on. We've got Kavita Brown joining us. Mark and I will be there. We're talking CQC. We're talking anything and everything that can possibly help you. We are sponsored by UK Care Week. We are sponsored by the fabulous Care Business Associates training. I know Paul said, training isn't the answer to everything. No, it's not, but it's a really good start. You can't build a house on Saturday.
Sorry, Elaine.
So go check out Care Business Associate training. Elaine will love you for that. Go check out our other sponsors, Prosperwell, Attis Care by Attis Insurance Brokers. We've got Log My Care, Health Automated, eLearnington, and Florence. I don't think I've said that eLearnington thing correctly. I'm
Enlearningment.
Enlargement. No, it's Enlearningment. Health Automated, Florence, Log My Care. We are live next week. Mark, what are we talking next week?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot. Who knows? Next week we are talking autism and addiction next week. So, and one thing that we probably should say, and haven't done very many social posts about it, is that actually there's so much happening within social care that originally when we started this kind of whatever it was 3-4 years ago, actually it was around upskilling managers and people about what was happening within the sector, and slowly we just became weekly, but actually we don't quite often talk about the things that are happening right now here in social care. So what we've actually done is carved out once a month to look at kind of what's been happening within the sector to break that down. So in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to look at Labour's plans for social care. That will probably never happen. But we're also having Providers Unite joining us to have that conversation because they're doing a lot to kind of rally providers and people that use social care and suppliers into kind of that one space to kind of hit back at government. So yeah, if there is a topic or something that's happening within the sector that you think, oh, actually, I'd love to know more about that or to do a deep dive, just, let us know.
I'll tell you one thing I do want to discuss on that show we've got is the Brewdog founder coming out basically saying that, a work-life balance is total hooey and you don't need one and everyone should just do loads of work and not have any sort of life. And I just think, interesting conversation. I think it's something that we should be discussing. Because I know, Paul, I'm not saying I know what side of the fence you sit on this, but listening to you tonight, I do believe you would be saying, but actually you do need to make some sacrifices to make it to the top, which I totally see and I totally get. I'm also talking to someone who's given up social media. So, I love the fact that I don't have my phone pinging 24/7 now. Mark hates the fact that I'm really shit at doing promos for the show. And I do need to find that sort of happy balance. But I can tell you now, the last 3 months where I've not used social media have been some of the most relaxing months ever. It's so good. So, yeah, we're looking forward to doing that current affairs topical show. And Paul, open invitation to join us for those every now and then if you would like to. Because I love your views, and if we differ, we differ, and I think it would be good.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm going to go. I don't know, I'm obsessed with looking at my Botox, and I just want to go check the name and make sure it's still working. Been an absolutely fabulous show. We are live next Tuesday, as we are every single week. Go check us out, www.thecaringview.co.uk. I'm stalling because I can't find the end stream button on this new software that we use. But until then, we will see you every single week. UK Care Week. Go and register. Take care. Stay safe.
See you later.
See you.
don't know what that last little one was.